I'm Allie with the Potomac Bead Company, and today I want to teach you a 2-needle herringbone technique working with our newest StormDuo bead. If you need any of the materials for this 2-needle herringbone, you can go below the video to the published date when it says the video was created, and there you'll get links that you can shop with us online at PotomacBeads.com and PotomacBeads.eu. For this 2-needle herringbone, again, we are going to be featuring the StormDuos, and then you can drop a variety of things down the middle. In my sample piece here, I have some Potomac crystal rondelles in 3x4 millimeter. I'm going to switch it up and use some gemstones to make it a little bit of a different look and use those down the middle. Anything that is going to be 4 millimeters or smaller will work well in this design. You can even keep it that you don't put anything in the middle as well. So it's going to be 2-needle herringbone, learning how to put on the clasp, learning how to weave in and out, decorating the sides, and then also ending the project. To get started, I do want you to get needles on a 5-foot piece of beading thread, 0.006 wildfire beading thread, and we'll get ready to begin our 2-needle crisscrossing, starting by adding our clasp. So once you have your thread and needles on and your pile of beads ready to start and begin, we're going to put on our clasp. I'm working with a cup button which has 2 holes, and we're going to put that on right away. In the middle of my cup button, I have 115, 1/8, 115 on my right needle. Take your right needle and go through the cup button, both on the right and the left. 1 needle going to the right, 1 needle going to the left. Pull the needles at the same time, and those little gold beads will pop in the middle of my button. From here, coming out the back of my button, I want you to add 2 15s on the right needle, 2 15s on the left needle. Let those drop back down near the button and pick up an 8. We're going to crisscross through our next 8/0 seed bead. And again, pull the needles so that way you have an equal amount of thread on either side. From here, we're going to reinforce this clasp. So the needle that's on the right-hand side, take up through those 2 15s on the right, through the cup button, through the beads at the top of the cup button, down through the beads on the other side, and then as you come out the back, you're going to retrace through the beads in order to get coming out that 8. One on the left now. I'm going to flip to the right hand side. I'm going to retrace this as well. This will put 3 strands of thread at the very end of the cup button. If you have a regular clasp, like a clasp garden clasp, push clasp, lobster clasp, anything that's metal, you would also be adding that in the same fashion right now. Most of the time you're using a metal clasp, you're also going to use some wire guards or wire protectors with it. Now that we have those 3 strands going through, I have my 8/0 seed bead that my threads are going to come out the right and the left hand side. To begin the herringbone style, normally with herringbone it is 1 needle, and we're creating that V effect. With the actual StormDuos, we're going to be creating that V effect and kind of adding in the gemstones in the middle. We're going to begin without a gemstone just to get that V shape established. To begin, on both the right and left needle, add 2 of your 15s and let those drop down again next to your project. Here's a good time just to reevaluate also that you make sure that you have the same amount of thread on both sides of the needles. When we add the StormDuos, and looking at them here in the example piece, we are going to be adding them so the bottom portion is touching. When you add the first one, you are going to string it through the smaller side or the curved side of the StormDuo. When you pick up the second one, you're going to have it face the opposite direction, stringing through the thicker part of the StormDuo and coming out the thinner side. I have that through with my right needle going towards the left, and now crisscrossing, my left needle is going to go towards the right. This is going to continue as a trend the whole way down the herringbone bracelet. The reason I'm doing 2 needle herringbone rather than 1 is because when you do 1 needle and go down the project and back the project, only every other side of the linking of the herringbone is going to be decorated. Here on the example piece, I decorated with my two 15s and then my crystal and then my 15 on both sides. I'm going to keep it really simple with the gemstones and just do the 15-0 seed beads. To just do the 15-0 seed beads, go ahead and add 4 on your right needle. Take your right needle and go up so you're coming out the center of that StormDuo on the right hand side. Those seed beads then will just sit curved right around the StormDuo. And I like this, love this champagne color. And you can see I'm hard up to get away from the blues. On goes 4 more on the left, and you can see I switched that to my right hand and just am turning the project as I'm working with it, so that way I'm more comfortable sewing them with the right and I'm actually quicker with my right needle. There I have my first little section of my StormDuo. From here we're going to string on and do the next portion of our herringbone stitch. This time when we do the inner herringbone, which is going to be our 2 StormDuos, we're going to separate the StormDuo by the gemstone. So to do so, again, I'm going to string the first one so that I'm going in on the curved smaller side. I'm going to add one of my gemstones, and then I'm going to go in on the bigger side, so that way when I'm looking at the StormDuos, they're almost facing outward like little horns on my round bead. The needle that's on the right is going to go through the StormDuo that's already there that we put on first on the left-hand side. Pulling that thread then, that's going to sit right in the middle there. Now the thread that was on the right, or on the left rather, I'm going to twist around so it's back here on the right hand side. And that thread is just going to mimic exactly what I just did. So going through the StormDuo, round duo, StormDuo, and then out through that first StormDuo. So literally the thread is just retracing back on itself. And there you have the first portion of the actual herringbone stitch. Again, we're going to add some seed beads for the sides, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we're going to step up from the top hole of the first StormDuo to the top hole of the second StormDuo. You can see those seed beads are just going to decorate and run down the side. Again, if you want to, you can jazz it up with some crystals, or you can keep it simple like I'm doing and just working with the 15s. There's no rule as far as what beads to put on the side. You just need to measure out 4 to 5 of your 15s and determine what beads you would like to add that are about that same length. My 4 beads go on, and then I'm back to the center of the herringbone. And now both sides have that nice little seed bead decoration. Back to the middle then. I'll separate out my threads here. They're nice and long because you're going to use more thread than you realize. Back to the middle here then again, picking up my StormDuo through the small side. Then on goes my 4mm StormDuo through the thicker side. You can see those StormDuos sitting off to the side rather than curved in. That needle that's on my right hand is going to go over to the last StormDuo hole on the left. We've got a lot of thread to pull here. Needle that is on the left then, and keep it on the left so you can see, is going to go back through that StormDuo, 4mm, storm, and then out the StormDuo on the right hand side. Nice tight little pull to catch in that thread, and then on go my 15-0s in groups of 4. And this almost looks like, we could probably call this bracelet this dual 2-needle herringbone, the Pegasus bracelet. Doesn't it look like kind of Pegasus wings going on? So I'll flip over again. So you can see a lot of times I flip the project in my hand because I'm more comfortable and faster with my right hand than I am with my left. 4 seed beads go on. And we keep progressing up the project then. So you're going to progress up the project, adding in the rest of your 4mm beads and your beautiful champagne StormDuos. And once we get all of these impression stone in and the champagne StormDuos, then I'll show you how we are going to make a loop on the other side and come out of the herringbone in order to add our clasp. So I wanted to show, as I was working with the design here, how those StormDuos are lying when they're facing one another, and then also show you at some point, at the point back here, what I did was I actually stopped with the 2 needle and I started with 1 needle, and I'm going to go through then and add my 2nd needle in and decorate the side. But I wanted to show you what I was speaking about with that alternating 15 O's on the side. So if you want to do 1 needle and you know how to do the 1 needle herringbone, that's basically going to be the effect when you just drop one of the needles and only use 1. You will get those seed beads on both sides. I worked out about an inch more with just that 1 needle. And now what I'll do basically to make myself faster, building ahead with that 1 needle, is come back with this 2nd needle and just retrace my steps. That will then take my needle off to the opposite sides of where the 15 O's currently are. And that will give me my opportunity to add those 15 O's on that 2nd side, both sides, so it's no longer just that alternating pattern. And as I sew through and get that there, you can see it adds those seed beads right along the edge. It also pulls the design in a little bit tighter, which I like because sometimes herringbone stitch can be a little bit lacy, and that 2nd needle is going to build in some of that stability. Once you have that nice center line established, and I love these impression stone because they kind of look like the world. And as you are coming down, you can see the difference in decorating with crystals on the side and doing it blingy, and how simple this looks with just the gemstones. It almost looks like ivory with those beautiful champagne beads. When you're at the end, what we're going to do is bring the 2 ends together and basically finish off the herringbone. With the needle that's on the right-hand side, add onto your needle 3 15s, then an 8/0 seed bead. Remember, we started with 1 8 on the other side. If you don't have any 8/0 seed beads handy, that's okay. You can use one of your gemstone beads. From here, you can do peyote stitch. You can add your other side of your clasp if you have a metal clasp. What I'm going to be doing is just making a loop for that button on the other side to sit inside of. So I'm adding here about 32 or so of these 15 O's. You can also make the loop with 11s. Like I said, any kind of bead will really work. And as I finish off adding these, then just like we did at the starting side where we reinforced the actual button portion, we're going to reinforce this loop as well. So once you have enough seed beads that you know that the button will fit through the loop but not be too big that it'll fall out, you're going to go back through that 8/0 seed bead. Not in the same direction, we're going to circle around. That's going to create our loop. Taking your needle and thread again, go through that loop that you just established. So you're going to take that needle and thread back through all of those 15 O's again. You can do this also a 3rd time with the other side of thread if you'd like. And that just has that extra security that you know that because the clasp is the place where you're going to get the most tension on the bracelet, you have that extra security. All right, so then we get through the last 2 15s and circle back through that 8. When I'm circling back through the 8, I'm going to add my 1, 2, 3 15s, just like I did on the other side. And then go in and tie these 2 thread ends together. I'm going to tie that knot just like a square knot, right over left, and then left over right. If you are not crazy about seeing the knot right there, a tiny little bit, you can go in and trace the thread further down and tie off further back inside this Pegasus herringbone bracelet. And after I get that last little knot in there, I'm going to take my thread zap or my thread burner. And I highly recommend a thread burner if you have one. You can use some super new glue too if you want to do that. Go ahead and burn down the thread edges. Just so you have a tiny bit of a little tail left there. And when you have that tiny bit of a tail left, what you'll then do is go in with your burner, press down on the button and heat it up. Then we're going to burn down those threads. And you want to burn them down flush against the project. You want to make sure you don't burn any of your beads or the coatings on them. And then you also do not burn through the thread that's part of your project, because that's really sad when you do that. After you have that, then your project is completed and you have that nice, beautiful look of the herringbone with the storm beads. Again, if you need any of these materials to do this fun herringbone bracelet, you can go back to the beginning of the video and kind of list out the materials, as well as below the video where that date stamp is that says when the video is produced. We'll have little links there that you can purchase from us at PotomacBeads.com and PotomacBeads.eu. You can always also subscribe to this YouTube channel to get regular updates when we have other fun designs that we're doing with the StormDuos, like these Camille earrings. You can also check out regular updates from us, as well as check us out on other social media outlets and share with us what you create too. So if you get a chance, grab some StormDuos, play around with all these fun basic stitches, and design away. Thanks for watching.